left. Oh.
All right, so we've got a very special guest speaker today. That would be Kristy. Kristy, I can't wait to hear what you do. I kind of read up a little bit about your background. I'm not going to say it right now because I want you to say it because I think it's super awesome, especially because you're a woman and it's just kind of cool to finally meet somebody who's done stuff like that in her past. So I'm just going to hand it over to you. You are welcome to take over, but we can't wait to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for the warm intro, Jasmine, Jenny, Nicole. Thank you guys for continuing to connect me with other people. It's been fun to get to know some of the other local businesses and all the cool stuff going on in our community. So I do have a PowerPoint presentation, and it is about, it'll end with the current role that I'm in, the business that I run, but I did this presentation a couple weeks ago, and I think it's important, as people are getting to know you, especially if as an independent consultant, really when we're out there working for ourselves, it's really about selling ourselves and getting people to a point where they know us, they can trust us, they have a little bit more insight, not just on what we do, but why we got there. So I'm gonna go ahead and, can I do a screen share?
Yes, thank you.
And
Yes,
I'm gonna kind of go back in history a little bit and share some of my background. You let me know when it's.
Yep, it should be ready.
Cool.
Does it look good?
Hopefully it works this time. Okay. Yay. All right. So I am Kristy Rose Follmar, and I'm currently, my role is I'm an independent consultant. I am pushing for the city of Indianapolis to provide zero processing fees to businesses. And like I said in the intro, I think it's kind of important to kind of lay the foundation of how I got to where I am today. And I think it's important also to kind of throw out these kind of facts, because you never know if somebody grew up in your area or who went to school with you. So I think these kinds of facts are important. I grew up in Cedar Lake, Indiana, which is just south of Chicago. It's in Lake County, Indiana, and we call it the region, kind of the armpit of Indiana. A little bit different area than the rest of Indiana. It's really kind of conform more to the Chicago mindset. So region people are just kind of gritty, and I'm really proud to be from that area. I attended Ball State University. I'm going to just talk about my family a little bit, some of my history, and then kind of go into more career-based slides. So again, growing up in Cedar Lake, Indiana, pretty normal family. The slide's important to me because this is I grew up with my mom, dad, my brother, and had a really close-knit family. And it's important for me to talk about because in the last presentation that I did, I was able to connect with somebody about this story. One of the reasons my life went down the path that it did is because I was really close to my father growing up as kind of daddy's little girl. And we grew up roughhousing, as I said, South Chicago, kind of scrappy. Dad, when I was 13 years old, made what I like to call a really stupid mistake that I didn't understand at the time. And he actually committed suicide. And it had a pivotal impact on my life. As a teenager, it's just an awkward age for teens, teen girls. I have a 15-year-old, so it's just an awkward age anyway. And I was not able to really vent my frustrations. I was very isolated and depressed. And because I grew up wrestling and fighting and roughhousing with dad, my mother had the intuition to buy a heavy bag. Excuse me. And I'm getting a little choked up. Hung up the heavy bag in our garage, bought me some boxing gloves and said, when you feel these sometimes violent tendencies and get angry, go out and hit that heavy bag and throw punches and do what your dad taught you. And that's what I did. I was really starting to become a pretty good athlete. So athletics was something that I knew was a good outlet. And I went out and started hitting that heavy bag and kind of fell in love with punching that heavy bag. My friends would all come over, we'd hit the heavy bag, and it really was therapeutic for me. And it's hard to explain why, but if you've ever done a boxing or martial arts style workout, you'll understand that kind of output just feels good. I also lost my brother. He was 23 years old. I was 28, and later in life, I lost my brother also to suicide. I think it was just something that was embedded in his heart as an outlet because of what dad had done. So our family, you know, we're down to 2 now. Of course, I have a huge extended family, but mom and I have been through a lot together. And the reason that this is important to me is because I have done a lot of suicide prevention walks. I've spoken at different suicide prevention fundraisers and things like that, just on as a suicide survivor, and how important that is and the impact that that decision can leave on families. Fast forward, I attended Ball State University. Again, just always love to reach out to other Cardinals, chirp, chirp. Degree in telecommunications and sociology, and I have a minor in marketing. I am a mother of a teenager. God bless you that I have more than one. I'm one and done. 1 15-year-old has proven to be enough. She's awesome. She's in driver's ed right now, becoming a beautiful young woman. So this is my daughter. Her name is Kay. Her middle name is O'Connor. So she's been affectionately named KO her whole life, which is funny and kind of relevant to my boxing story, which comes up later. So this is my daughter, Kay. So when I was in college, I was a cross country runner and blew out my knee and had to basically retire from sports. I did sports my whole life. And so I became very depressed. And there's a long story behind how I found this, but there was an inner city gym in the city of Muncie where I went to Ball State that was teaching inner city students, or I'm sorry, inner city kids and also Ball State students how to box. And they had an amateur team. I had come across an article about another university student, another female who had just won $10,000 in scholarship money through the Indiana Golden Gloves. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, that heavy bag always stuck with me and was something that I wanted to do for real. So I joined the gym, became an amateur fighter, won the Indiana Golden Gloves a couple of times, and then turned professional at 20 years old. I was able to obtain 3 world titles, was ranked in the top 5 in my weight class for most of my career. So, and I attribute most of that to my coach, who's, I don't know if you could see my arrow, but Coach Mark Lemrick, who really stepped in as kind of a father figure for me as a male figure who really cared about not just me, but all of his fighters. And it just became a true passion of mine that opened up a lot of doors for me in my professional world later in life. I did retire in 2010, so I haven't actually competed in 12 years. But as of last month, I was inducted as the second woman in the history into the Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame. So it was a true honor. I was amongst several very famous fighters and promoters and coaches in the boxing world. And it's just a true honor to be a part of the Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame history. I got this really cool ring, and again, talking about doors opening, just being involved in the boxing community. I never expected it to go this far. So it's just something that I'm very proud of to bring back to the state of Indiana. One of the things I was able to do with the experience of my fight career was in 2006, I was approached by a gentleman who many of you probably remember, Scott Newman, who was the district attorney of Indianapolis for many years, for 2 terms, I believe, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 38. He was 38 years old, and he tried to keep his Parkinson's disease a secret from the public. He was still in his public, he was still district attorney and was starting to lose the ability to sign his name. He was losing his posture. He couldn't speak very loud. He couldn't drive anymore. And a friend of his decided, well, if you have Parkinson's and the disease is going to strip you of your movement, why don't we try training? You know, I used to box. He was a boxer in the Army. Why don't you let me train you? It's great for balance. It's great for speed. It's great for your core strength. And so that's what they did. They started to do personal training with Scott, everything with the exception of actually punching Scott. So it was completely non-contact. And lo and behold, despite the reservation from his neurologist who said, don't exercise, you're going to fall on your butt. Nobody's ever done that. Take your medications, go home and get comfortable. Thank God Scott didn't listen. He was recovering from his symptoms because of the intensity of the exercise. And he wanted to start a nonprofit called Rocksteady Boxing right here in Indianapolis for other people with Parkinson's to fight back against the disease. We had a mutual friend. We discussed how we could launch this. I didn't know anything about Parkinson's at the time, but he immersed me in education, seminars. I went to every one of his doctor's appointments with him. We started Rocksteady in 2006. Fast forward 16 years later, we now have close to 1,000 affiliates, Rocksteady affiliates throughout the world in 11 different countries, helping conservatively about 100,000 people with Parkinson's. So it's been wildly successful. Really put a new spin on this, I think, not just this disease, but all diseases, that it's not the end. Let's turn this adversity into an opportunity. So it's been really, really fun to be a part of this growth of Rocksteady. I am still a co-founder. I'm still involved in special projects, but about 18 months ago, right after COVID, I realized that I was ready to start doing something different. When you work with a demographic that has a progressive disorder that is incurable, we could only help them for so many years, have a better quality of life, which is very rewarding to see your friends get better, but ultimately the disease takes your friends. And I have lost hundreds of friends over the years and spoken at funerals, and COVID, like the rest of the world, really did a lot of damage to our organization, not just here in Indy, but across the world. We had about 200 programs shut down. And we have no idea how many people we lost because they lost their programs, they lost the social connection, they lost the exercise. We did do Zoom workouts and things like that, but it just wasn't the same. And once we sort of got back on our feet after COVID, I decided I was emotionally ready to do something else. The organization's in great hands with professionals and clinicians, so it was time for me to walk away. I had heard about a new law called the Durbin Amendment, which was actually not a new law. The Durbin Amendment has been around for 12 years, since 2012. And the Durbin Amendment basically allows any business or nonprofit that accepts credit cards to completely eliminate having to pay the credit card processing fees. And the way that happens is basically you and I as consumers are going to be paying for our own processing fees in the near future. It puts the processing fees 3 to 4% back on the consumer. So whenever I bust out a credit card, if it's a $100 bill, if you decide to use a credit card, you can expect that you'll pay $103 or $104 to use the benefit of your credit card, which ultimately gives the establishment their full $100 as opposed to $96. So it's a huge benefit for small businesses, small to medium businesses, and also nonprofits. And I saw it as an opportunity to really get involved to help small to medium sized businesses and also nonprofits get back on their feet after the pandemic. Again, seeing firsthand what it did to our organization and several friends and families' businesses struggle, I thought that this could be something that I would be passionate about to, again, just help people in whatever capacity that I had. So what I do today is I am an independent consultant. I represent 3 different companies. These are all merchant solution companies that focus on different size businesses. So I can work with the little guys that like a personal trainer or a hairstylist that goes into someone's home and has to run a credit card on their smartphone, all the way up to robust restaurants and hotels that need complex POS systems and everybody in between. Again, the Durbin Amendment is something here in Indianapolis that's not really well known, but if you've all experienced this already. If you've bought tickets on Ticketmaster, or if you've ordered Grubhub, DoorDash, taken an Uber, most gas stations, a lot of convenience stores, smoke shops, liquor stores, donut shops, you name it, anybody who can take a credit card. This is starting to gain some traction here in Indianapolis. But if you go to any of the big cities, if you go to New York City, LA, Chicago, New Orleans, this is huge already, Houston, you're going to see it everywhere. Almost every restaurant, up to 50% of the businesses in New York City are already implementing cash discounting. So the cash discounting program, we have a couple of different ways. So again, this is just 2 examples. Every company does it the same way, but FlashBanc, for example, kind of works with more of the medium-sized businesses and nonprofits. They're equipped to handle a little bit more complex systems to implement the coding, to implement this law. I also represent VizyPay, which is the small guys. So this is, roofers, contractors, people that have very small businesses, movers, people like that need to take their POS systems on the road with them, or just need one point of sales. So literally anybody, regardless of how much they're bringing in per month in credit card processing, we have the capability through multiple teams to help them implement these programs. This is just kind of an example, sorry, it's a little bit blurry, of if you went to a restaurant, for example, legally they have to post and make the customer aware at the point of entrance or the point of sales, or even verbally, that they're implementing cash discounting. So the value is, right now, because processing fees are going up and up and up. And by the way, the reason that they're going up is because of all of our vacation perks and rewards and cash back options. Those travel points that we get to cash in are being paid for by the restaurants that we love and everywhere else that we use a credit card. So companies that implement this will have to post a sign that says, we accept all forms of payment. If you choose to pay with cash, it'll be if you choose to pay with a credit card, it'll be at the listed price, which in this case would be the example of $104. But if you choose to pay with your debit card, cash, or check, we'll give you a 4% discount. So instead of companies having to raise their prices for everyone, this gives the merchant the ability to just raise prices for people who are using a credit card and keep the prices lower for the folks that are using cash, debit card, and check. And it gives the customer the power of choice. So instead of raising the prices for everybody, if you want to start bringing our cash around with you more, use that debit card, you do have the option to stay at that lower price. I'm going to show just a quick little cartoon video because it describes it in a fun way. And hopefully you can hear.
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month,
Of course
if
you
not
have.
more, just from this app on my phone.
Implementing a cash discount program
We
with
can't see it,
VizyPay
Kristy.
is simple and
We can
easy,
hear it, but
not
we
to
can't see
mention
it.
extremely beneficial to you as a business
Can't
owner.
hear it?
So
We can
how
hear
does
it,
it
but we
work?
can't see it.
It's simple. Start by choosing a discount percentage you want to give to your cash paying customers.
If you
I know
want to
why.
maybe unshare and then share, sometimes Zoom is picky
Actually,
like
I
that.
think it's
Oh.
right here. Share sound. Now it's going to be a pain. We don't have to watch the video. I can send it to you later.
Yeah, we can definitely add that. Yeah, if you after
Okay.
the, yeah,
Not big of a deal. All right.
sorry about that. Zoom.
No, it's all right. It's these all these buttons we're still getting used to. Now I can't find my presentation. All right, can you see this?
Cash discounting described. Ooh, love always
Yes.
wins. Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay, I'll go back to that. So I'll just wrap it up here. I can just drop this link in the description or in the chat. There's a bunch of videos out on YouTube that really explain this better. It's a long conversation, but I just want to throw out and remind all of you, as Jenny mentioned, I don't know if this would directly apply to the businesses that you guys are in, but you're all connected with people, realtors. There's just hundreds of connections through contractors, through home inspection, through, you name it. So just keep your eyes and ears open. If you have a small nonprofit that is not implementing this charge for people that are donating with a credit card, just keep me in mind, because I'm really, I think, taking the passions that I've had in my, getting up to this point in my life, I'm really enjoying getting out there and walking into a business with a solution that can literally bring them back hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month that they could reallocate into their programs or into their businesses, hire more staff, more cooks. So please keep me in mind. I would love to help. And I have a huge, robust team behind me that can implement this and make it happen. And I'll just end with this. This is kind of backs my philosophy. I am just an over optimist, just a really silly person. I trust people that I believe have integrity and authenticity. It's very important to me. And as I was looking for different network groups, I really got that feel from this group and from Jenny that you guys are just out to lift each other up, help each other move through life. And so that's just kind of how I like to live every day, with gratitude I have a tattoo on my arm that says love always wins. And I believe that that's true. Even when you come across people in your life that you feel have something out for you, you just, if you've ever butted heads with people, or have a negative thought about a person, I always try to shift that into finding the best attributes about individuals. And I do believe that over time, even if you've had a tiff with someone, and ex-coworker, boss, that over time, love will always win. So that's kind of my motto in life. And I will just end it with this Maya Angelou quote, because she is just, when I need strength, I go on the internet and I look for memes, and I have quotes that I have on my phone that I daily inspiration. And this is one of my favorites that everybody needs to remember. And it's that people will never forget what you said, and people will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is so true of any situation. Even if you think back to yesterday, and had a conversation with somebody, you probably don't even remember all the details of that conversation, but you could remember if they embraced you, if they made you feel happy, if it was a silly conversation. So I truly believe that this is how we should live our lives. And again, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to kind of go back into my history a little bit. I know that's kind of a long presentation, but I hope it gives you some idea of who I am and where I'm going, and hopefully how I can help you and your circle of friends.
Yay. Thank you
Chris,
so much. Yeah.
that was great, Kristy. I'm going to introduce you to my daughter, Sherry, who owns several bars. I don't know if it's something they could implement. I know they have things in place, but she knows lots of people.
Yeah, thank you. Any place like a bar scene, even a liquor store, smoke shop, entertainment, bowling alleys, places where people go to unload and to entertain themselves, even self-help kind of companies like a chiropractor, massage. People are happy to pay an increase to use a credit card to help those establishments because it's self-care. And I consider bars, restaurants, as self-care, that's getting out, that's being social. So I would absolutely love to talk to her. There's a lot of bars, a lot of breweries that are doing this in the city of Indianapolis.
Yeah,